Have you ever noticed how easy it is to become different versions of yourself depending on where you are? I know it has been for me. One version of you shows up in your business, another version shows up in your family, another version shows up or appears around certain friends. I have to be honest with you. I love to sing the song Kryptonite. And a friend that I've known for over a year now says to me, I've never seen this version of you. And I was like, dang it. It showed up as me everywhere. But I guess I haven't. So I tell you this because not to judge you in this conversation, but to tell you that I get it. So you also may find that might be a version of you that exists when you're alone. So most people think that this is normal. And to some degree it is. I just shared with you that version. But I also have to tell you that part of the exhaustion that you have been carrying isn't because you're doing too much. It's because you're working so hard to manage all the different versions of yourself. Hello, love. I am Sarah Sparks, the creator of Healed. I work with soul-led entrepreneurs, women who want their success, leadership, and life to feel whole, not fragmented. Today, we are beginning a conversation around living whole. This conversation is going to continue all month. And we're going to start with the question, where are you still leaving parts of yourself behind? Where are you leaving parts of yourself behind? I tend to be a woman who asks questions that may activate something in you, and you may or may not be ready to have that part of you activated. So what I suggest is write the question down, and when it's time, the answer will appear. When you sit in that question long enough, you will know when you're ready to hear the answer. So write it down. Where are you still leaving parts of yourself behind? There's a hidden cost to fragmentation that many people don't realize how much energy it takes to manage multiple identities. Maybe in your business, you're confident, but in your personal life, you struggle to ask for what it is that you need. Maybe you're the person everyone comes to for advice, but privately, you're questioning yourself constantly. Maybe you teach confidence, yet still hesitate before sharing your own truth. That's not hypocrisy, that's fragmentation. And fragmentation creates exhaustion because your nervous system is constantly switching roles, adjusting, editing, managing, trying to determine which version of you is acceptable in each environment. I want to make this practical for you. Imagine you're a coach. You help your clients trust themselves. You help them make aligned decisions. You encourage them to stop people pleasing. But then someone in your own life becomes disappointed with you. And suddenly you abandon your own boundaries. You explain, you justify, you over accommodate, not because you don't know better, but because a different part of you took over. A part that still believes approval equals safety. This happens all of the time. Not because people are broken, because healing is often uneven. One area grows faster than another. Now, there's an entrepreneurial's version of fragmentation that I want to bring up and address. I see this often with soul-led entrepreneurs. They have a powerful vision. They know they are here to make an impact. They know they are meant for more, but they're still carrying old identities, the identity that needed permission, the identity that needed validation, the identity that believed success required sacrifice. So while they're trying to explain their business, part of them is still operating from that old programming. And that creates internal conflict. One foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. But what wholeness actually means is that wholeness doesn't mean becoming perfect. I know if you're constantly seeking acceptance and abandoning yourself for your own success, not just for your own success, for success, if you are abandoning yourself for success, you're striving for perfection. And I want this to be clear. Wholeness does not mean becoming perfect. It doesn't mean having every area of your life figured out. I believe that in order for me to teach anything, I needed to have it all figured out in all areas of my life. No. It means that the version of you sitting alone in the kitchen is the same version that shows up in your business. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes nervous system regulation. It literally takes practice, you speaking up and being okay with it. Trust me. I know. I used to get paid as a child a quarter for every minute I was quiet. How do you think that translated in my nervous system when I went to get paid as a speaker? Do you think that I had two identities showing up in my business versus personal life? Maybe you can relate. But what wholeness is, it means that your values aren't changing based on who's watching. It means your truth doesn't disappear when someone disagrees with you. It means your decisions reflect what you know is true. Not that. It means that your decisions reflect what you know is true, not what keeps everyone comfortable. There's an energy cost of self-editing. Have you thought about this before? Have you experienced it? This is where many people lose tremendous energy. They constantly are editing themselves, holding back, softening their truth, adjusting their personality, filtering their opinions, trying to be more acceptable, more digestible. But every time you edit yourself, you disconnect from yourself. That little voice quiver. I know this all too true, all too well. I know this all too well. All right. When I am sharing all this, it's because I have lived it. And that disconnection is exhausting. You are not wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. You're carrying the burden of being someone that you are not. I'm not the good little girl who keeps her mouth shut and sits in the corner. I'm the woman who listens to divine wisdom, asks the tough questions, and lets you sit in that awareness for you to figure out your way home. You to consider something. Where do you feel most like yourself? And where do you feel least like yourself? Write it down. Get out. When questions come to me, I literally write them down. And when I'm ready for the answer to arise, I write them. I write out the question. I write out the answer. So get out your notebook and just write down, where do I feel most like myself? Where do I feel least like myself? Notice the difference. Notice the places where you naturally expand. And notice the environments where you shrink. Those moments are giving you valuable information. Have you ever noticed someone who projects their weaknesses onto you? Do you know why? It's because they haven't taken time to reflect. I've noticed that people who do not take the time to reflect, they project. Let's not project. Let's take a time to reflect on these questions and see what you notice. And again, you're not looking for what's wrong with you. This is where integration is still calling you forward. All right. So here's what living whole looks like. You see, it is living whole looks like saying what you mean, honoring your values, trusting your intuition, following through on what you know, allowing your private life and public life to become more aligned. Not perfect, but forward motion, progressive. Living whole is not some destination way off in the future. It's a practice, a daily decision, a willingness to stop abandoning yourself. I was on top of a mountain and there was an overwhelming fear that took complete over my mind. And I stepped back and I cried. I felt this wave of dizziness come. And I wanted to so badly push through it because I am not a woman who gives up. But here's what happened on that mountain. I was no longer willing to abandon myself for the love of another. The love of another, the other person was getting really frustrated with me because they thought that I was just giving up. But I wasn't just giving up. I was honoring where I was at. I was not judging myself on, oh God, because I gave up on this mountain and this hike, I must be giving up on myself in life. No, I wasn't making more of it than what it was, except for I was honoring the fact that I was feeling fear and I didn't understand why I was fearful of heights. It hadn't happened. I wasn't this person, but in this moment, I was, and I honored myself. I honored where I was, and I did not abandon her on that mountain that day for the love of another. And that in of itself was a win for me. Will I go back on that mountain? Sure. Will I conquer that mountain? Hell yes. But not to please and be accepted by that loved one, but to do it for me. Abandonment of self for success is one of the reasons why I created Healed. This new identity that came to me was labeled Healed because Divine said to me, you can no longer be fragmented. You can no longer be one person in your personal life and one person in your professional. You need to be the same identity, and I need it to be healed. We'll go further into that. You can also visit and look at the Healed Process podcast to understand the whole healed process. You can purchase Healed immersion for yourself. It's a self-completed transformation. But here's the thing that I noticed with Healed is that most people are not lacking information, but they are lacking integration. People would make comments to me about, oh, it'd sure be nice if I woke up when I was 28. Oh, it'd sure be nice if I was living your life, Sarah. I sure wish that I could be a soul-led entrepreneur supporting her family of 4. And they would have this sarcasm in them. And that's okay. We are where we are. I am where I am. You are where you are. And I get it. But when I would ask them, are you living what you're teaching? Are you walking the walk? And they're like, well, no. So they would hire me to show them this. Because it's not that they know what they know. They've read the books, they've taken the courses, they've listened to the podcast, but there's still parts of themselves that are operating from that old belief, those old wounds, those old identities. And healed helps bridge that gap so that your wisdom becomes embodied when truth becomes lived. So who you are on the inside becomes who you are everywhere. And I have noticed that when people are walking the walk, talking the talk, when they are in alignment and doing when they are personally doing, and they have embodied what it is that they teach and do, their business completely excels. That's when my business made it six figures. Is when I was teaching, when I was only teaching, listening to divine guidance, and divine says to me, you need to be all in. You need to be listening to your own divine guidance. So that's all I did. I hired a business coach who was really big on documentation and making phone calls and all of the masculine to-do traits. And my business froze because I'm supposed to be soul-led. So I was like, you know what? When my time with this coach is done, I am going to only listen to my divine guidance. If I am to be teaching, listening to divine guidance, I need to be living it. And my business had 17K launches, 10K months, six-figure years. Like that's what it was. That's what it is. So healed helps bridge that gap for you so that you are the same inside as you are everywhere. I'll leave you with this question. So write it down. Where are you still leaving parts of yourself behind? Are you still leaving parts of yourself behind? Do not judge. Do not criticize. Simply notice. Because wholeness begins the moment that you stop asking, who do I need to be here? And start asking, how do I be more fully myself? The goal is not perfection, love. The goal is not balance. The goal is wholeness. And wholeness begins when you stop editing yourself depending on who's watching. If this resonated, you'll find ways to work with me and learn more about the healed immersion in the description below. Until next time, lead whole.